All right, well, let's do a little news. Shall we do that?
Yeah.
Nikki Glaser says she's on a cleanse after the Tom Brady roast. Quote, "It's a disgusting place to write from." And we have a clip of her on the NPR Fresh Air podcast.
Fresh Air, Terry Gross.
I really respect, in terms of Tom Brady, I was like, I can't believe he's going to do this. And because he said yes to it, it's kind of like, unless you tell me things are off limits, I'm going to go there. I have license. I have your consent. And then I go, and boy, I can't believe the places my mind will go to. I really do have to do kind of a cleanse after I write for a roast, because my mind is in just such a bad place where I'm just constantly thinking the worst thing about someone, looking at pictures of them, thinking, what is something I can think about them that is going to haunt them the rest of their life, because I'm going to reveal it to everyone. I mean, it's a disgusting place to write from, but that's the job.
Oh.
Now, Adam, I know you've written for a roast or a few roasts or been on roasts. Did you feel the need to cleanse after your roast writing?
No, but I'm just kind of coming off a cleanse because I just did 5 quarts of Gatorade with Miralax, dumped in there. So I'm on a serious cleanse. What else did I took? I took Dulcolax and magnesium citrate. Oh. You want to know something funny? I'll get back to Nikki Glaser. I was so goddamn hungry last night because I hadn't eaten in over 24 hours. And I also realized that food kind of represents something to do or something to look forward to or a way to treat yourself. It's like sort of sitting in traffic, driving home, long day. You go, what am I going to do for dinner? Like there's a foreplay to it and there's a look forward to it kind of thing.
Yep.
And it becomes, a little more emotional than it probably should be. You're not thinking about calories and sustenance. You're going like, what would be good? Or like then, and you start kind of thinking down the road, I might treat myself a little yogurt and honey and some nuts, like after the dinner, whatever. When that's off the table, you just go home and you just fucking sit there and stew in your own juices. And here's how bad it was. For some reason, after the Citrax, whatever, all the shit I took at one point, I was supposed to take a Gas X pill, and it was chewable. And I was like, good. Something to eat. Like, I literally looked at this miniature pill like I was in a fucking rowboat and cast in the sea for 28 days. I looked at this little pink Gas X pill, and I was like, I'm going to enjoy this. I got a knife out and a fork, but like I remember chewing on it, going
napkin in your shirt.
I remember really enjoy chewing on this fucking Gas X pill because it's the only solid piece of matter that has passed your gums in 30 hours. So just savor this pill. And then I thought, man, I've hit rock bottom. But
like astronaut.
I do not think. No, I've done 3 of these things. You don't have to be inherently cruel. There's a way to do it that's funny and sort of has a modicum of respect. But if you want to go, you don't have to go there, but you can go there. But I sort of reject the notion that you have to go there.
Agreed.
If the guy's, if the guy's 9-year-old died in a hunting accident, you wouldn't have to go there. You wouldn't. You could. I mean, they signed up for it, but you wouldn't have to go there, So you don't have to. On the other hand, it's just a gig, and the cleansing part is you doing it on stage, and now it's purged, and you should be able to move on. So that's what I'm saying.
I agree.
100%.
And, I didn't pick this story so I could bring this up, but I was shocked that Nikki Glaser didn't say she needed a cleanse after stealing one of my jokes, which I accused her of online this week.
Oh.
I've never accused anybody of stealing my jokes before, and I'm glad we have a third comedian in the room, so you can weigh in now. Okay. I wish I was like Reggie Watts, where everything was improvised and unable to be stolen.
Yes.
But I have a few clips I'd like you guys to weigh in.
There's some A and B and compare and contrast. Okay. And look, Reggie liked music. When they accused George Harrison, My Sweet Lord are ripping off the Shirelles like He's So Fine. I would listen to He's So Fine and My Sweet Lord, and I'd go, I don't know. I'm not hearing it. Like, I don't feel like he ripped them off. But sometimes you do, and you go, oh, there is. So you have to listen and figure out. All right, so Joe, this from what year?
So this is from something I recorded at The Stand in 2015. Joe Praino Takes the Stand, available on Amazon.
2015.
Here's the deal, guys. If you've ever actually used the term soulmate, just yourself. That's not a real thing. Soulmates? 8 billion people in the world? You think you found your one snowflake soul match?
We all like to convince ourselves, no, this is my soulmate. No, it's not. Everyone likes to go, he's my soulmate. You're not that lucky. Out of 8 billion people on the planet, he's not your soulmate.
Now,
It's the 8 billion part that gets me.
So
all right.
at that point, I was just like, that's how many people are on Earth. Soulmate's a ridiculous thing.
Yeah.
I'm not really. A friend sent this to me, and I said, at this point in the joke, I was like, not enough.
No,
just similar
definitely not enough.
train of thought.
Yep,
right?
definitely not
Part
enough.
2.
Approximately your height. Your exact same race. Was also at a bar on the Upper East Side, St. Patrick's Day, 2012.
It's not your soulmate, sorry. That's just a guy that was on Bumble at the same time as you that reminded you of your dad in the perfect little way. You know,
Similar beats. Not
Similar
exactly a
beats.
cover tune yet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Feel alike, not a sound alike, as Reggie would say in his business. But-
That's the whole thing.
No,
One more.
and the third part's where I
Okay, that's what
I
thought.
got.
Okay.
soulmate statistically is in China. That's where your soulmate is, and that's where they'll die. The closest you'll get is maybe your soulmate touched your phone on an assembly line, but that's the closest where your stars will ever cross. Maybe he stitched your mom's blouse when he was in 3rd grade. Do they call it grades if they don't go to school? I don't know, but...
You don't understand how math works, man. Everybody in this room, soulmate, is a kid in China. That's how math works, okay? They have us outnumbered. Your soulmate is working in a Nike factory. Yes. He's your soulmate. S-O-L-E mate. That's what he is.
Funny.
That's good.
All right.
That's
yeah,
good.
that kind of sealed the deal.
It's pretty close. But had she seen that?
So I when I put my video up on the socials, I even said I'm not accusing her of seeing it and stealing it, but
Yeah.
I do know that she has people who write for her who I have
All right, forget about
worked
that.
with before, and I've worked with Nikki before, and I was like, I'm not saying Nikki Glaser saw this joke, wrote it down, stole it.
Yeah.
But it feels like it hitting all the exact same beats. Maybe somebody provided that to her, and she
Yes.
was like, that's my vibe. I can do a joke about that.
Yeah.
Then made it her own. But I would never do this normally. But it felt like every time it went in a certain direction, it went in the exact same direction. And I felt I had to.
Yeah. I think it's worth mentioning. I mean, because maybe you're right. Maybe someone saw it a long time ago, or they saw it kind of recently-ish, and they're
Right,
just like,
because you put it on
something-
socials now. It's like
Yeah.
an old thing. I just put it up actually a couple months ago. It was, and now on socials, like you do a club, and the club will grab something you put, and then they'll collaborate with you on it, and then they'll like refresh it.
Yes.
And so it was just shared by a club like not that long ago. And I'm like,
highly possible.
maybe because this is from her most recent special 9 years later. It just felt like it hit too many of the same. Felt
Yeah.
like when Tom Petty got, paid by Sam Smith or whatever. It's like, just,
Yeah.
just pay me and be like, you're probably right. And now I'm not asking for any money.
Oh
or
yeah.
anything like that,
But I mean, that's
Tom Petty
that's
and
worth
Sam
it.
Smith. I didn't know that story.
I think it's Sam Smith, right?
Or Marvin Gaye and
Yeah.
Robin Thicke.
Right.
Yeah.
I think it was
Oh
in
man,
my
we're living in a
back
world
then.
where Tom Petty's gone and Sam Smith is still here. I don't like that world.
Tom Petty.
So
sewer.
here's my thing:
Just
is anybody can anybody can hop on a premise. It's when you start
Sure.
beating it out. Joe and I had a same premise joke as well. It's just the premise. The premise is what's in society, and you're gonna see it because we all travel through society, and we all have the premise. It's where you go with the premise. I think. So Joe and
Yeah.
I had a same premise, and then we went very different directions on the premise.
Yeah, that one's very close.
This one, she was
especially the China thing.
beating it out the same. 8 million was a little weird too, because I
8
looked
billion,
it up. A billion, sorry, 8 billion.
How dare you?
I should have said 8 million, and then if she said that, we'd have known.
There's
Yes,
seven.
actually.
There's according to Google, there's 7.9 billion. Right, but if I was writing this joke, I would look it up and go 7.9 billion
it's
people in the
funnier.
world. It
It's
is more
funnier.
specific. Or if I was going up, I'd go 10 billion people on the planet, and you know, if I was going hyperbole, I'd go 10. If
Yeah.
I was going down or accurate, I'd go 7.9.
Yeah.
You said 8. She said 8. That seemed specific.
Yes.
So I'm with you, but I'm with you in that I've had plenty of. First off, almost everything Bill Maher says on his show, I said 2 years earlier, and then he gets all the credit for it.
That makes sense.
I think
But-
cancel Nikki and Bill Maher
Yeah.
immediately.
Yes.
But he has 13 writers,
Right,
so
right.
there's a chance that writers may be listening to a podcast or whatever. And when things make you laugh or smile, or you think it's good, your first impulse is sort of like, oh, I wish I'd thought of that. You know,
Yeah.
I mean, everyone goes, oh, I wish I'd thought of that. Like, I wish I'd thought of that. There's a way you can think of it.
Yes.
Just pretend you came up with it and then give it to Bill Maher and
Sure.
Nikki Glaser.
That's
you know?
true. That's
but
true.
it's also, I don't think it's always nefarious. I think there's a part of when people hear stuff they like.
Yeah.
They go, oh, yeah, I'm kind of vibing with that.
Yeah, like they
And
wanna
then-
share it.
And then 6 months later, you're like, you know, I had this idea. And you have to be really weird and almost a little OCD. Like, you know, like Jimmy Kimmel's not a stand-up comedian, but he said to me once, he goes, you notice this like 15 years ago or something. He goes, you notice all these pot dispensaries started popping up right about the same time all the cupcake shops started popping up. And I was like, oh, yeah, that's funny. And sometimes people will go, oh, this is cupcakes or pot or something. I'll go, this is not my joke. This is Jimmy Kimmel's joke. But anyway, do you notice all the times,
Yes,
even at
caveat.
lunch, I don't want to take credit for Jimmy's joke with
Yep.
one other person at lunch. Forget about being on stage because I just don't want to, I'm self-conscious about, I don't think it's going to get back to Jimmy. I just think it's his joke.
Yeah.
He said it, not me.
Yeah, no, I agree. I always err on like, I'm not sure if I thought of this, but you know, or you know, even if I don't know, you know,
Right.
I will say like, I'm not sure, you know, because it's just better to be sure. Because
I think a writer heard it, saw it, crafted it. And
it's
fed
too
it.
it's too similar. It's like it's two levels of similarity.
really?
Either that or like they got really lucky.
Yeah. I always think like when you see a joke, it's like it goes and then it breaks off in a direction and then it breaks off again. It's like this weird butterfly effect where it kept breaking off in the exact same direction is where I just felt compelled for the first time in my life to.
Well, here's what I've learned from this exchange. She's got to get new writers. You got to get a tight skirt.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that's
Those
it.
are the
And
two
that's
things I've figured
the
out.
feedback online is like, this joke is shit. I'm like, oh, well, it was stolen by one of the biggest comics in the world right now, so it's not that
who
shit.
says this joke is shit?
Oh, you know, the internet.
Oh, that's
Reddit,
so brutal.
Reddit, right?
Oh, no, Reddit.
Yeah, who cares? It's just someone that's not very smart.
All right. Speaking of greedy blonde bitches, Facts of Life star Mindy Cohn says a reboot was sabotaged by a greedy bitch, and everybody is insinuating that she is talking about Lisa Whelchel.
Yeah.
Played Blair?
Yeah.
Correct.
Not Tootie. Can't be Tootie.
No, Tootie's too chill.
Joe wouldn't do something like that.
No, Joe's like of
a
the
tom-
people.
She's a tomboy, man.
Yeah.
Oh, she's a mechanic.
Rides a motorcycle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The Facts of Life stars are back in the spotlight after One Star's claims that the fans were denied a reboot because one of the core four, Lisa Whelchel, Kim Fields, Mindy Cohn, and Nancy McKeon, was quote a greedy bitch.
Well, I went to a taping, season 1.
You did?
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah,
Sick.
pretty big deal, right? Yeah, because I had a crush on Beth Ringwald, which was Molly's
On what?
older
I
sister.
didn't know she had an older sister.
Yeah.
Who's Beth Ringwald? Is she? She's
Molly
not.
Ringwald's older sister.
Yeah, but that's not. She's not in this. Why was she?
No, what we do is we put pictures up right when we're talking about something,
No.
and then we confuse our guests.
That's weird.
Not your fault.
I wouldn't do
Beth
that. But
Ringwald was a civilian,
okay. Gotcha.
but her sister, a couple years younger, Molly, was on season 1. I mean, you want to talk about what year was season 1? Because literally, Dawson will look it up. You got bigger fish to fry over here, Joe. You got grievances.
Thank you.
Season 1, Molly Ringwald does season 1, right?
yeah.
They do not bring her back for season 2. They trim the fat for season 2.
Interesting.
They thin the herd. They got rid of like 3 or 4 girls, right? Then they come back lean and mean for season 2, although by season 5 they were fat again. But they come lean and mean back for season 2, right? Molly Ringwald is one of the biggest stars in the world 3.5 years later, maybe 2.5. Like, in what universe do you get cut from a schlocky sitcom, and then 3 years later you're on the cover of Life and Time magazine in like the same year? Like, does that ever happen? And I bet, I mean, once she started doing all those John Hughes films and shit, like she must have been. It couldn't have been 4 years. Well, what was it? What year was Facts of Life?
1979. August of '79 was the.
So that was a while ago.
That was
Yeah,
August.
because it would have been 16 Candles, right? Was her first Hughes.
16 was Pretty in Pink came second.
Yeah.
Yeah, 16
So it was
Breakfast Club was after that.
In 1984 was 16 Candles.
Trying to 84.
Yeah.
Good call. What was there? She was in a serious film, a weird and serious film, but done by a big time director before that, which was like her first thing, like
Dead
82.
Ringers. No, just kidding.
It was
Tempest?
The Tempest, yeah.
Just Tempest.
Oh, sorry.
Just like the video game?
Like PCH.
PCH.
Not The Tempest.
The
Yeah.
PCH. Yeah.
It was based on the video game.
And who directed that? That was like a big guy back then. And what year was that?
Directed by Paul Mazursky.
Paul Mazursky. Yeah, he was a name.
And I think you nailed it, 82.
Okay,
Right. So 79 is the first season, right? August 79. So halfway or more into the year.
14
So it
episodes
airs.
of 79-80 on Facts of Life.
Into 80.
Yeah.
Okay. 2 years later, she's doing a Paul Mazursky film, like after getting cut.
Probably a year later,
A
too,
year,
right?
like filming.
Film-wise.
A year
Right.
later, Paul Mazursky, like a big film with what's her name? Oh, God, who else was in that? It's a bunch of names, but they're old names, but there were big names
Glenn Close.
like that.
Susan Sarandon.
And
Gina Rowlands.
Jenna. I think
Jenna?
I think call it Jenna Rollins or something. Gina Rollins. Okay.
John Cassavetes.
Cassavetes. Yeah, that's a big film. I
Wow,
mean,
that's
when
it.
you're 14.
Raul Julia.
Raul. Kiss of the
Raul.
Spider Woman. Yeah, it's a big film.
Wow. Molly Ringwald.
So there you go, everybody.
So different now.
I wonder, if she stays on Facts of Life and she has a filming schedule, is she even the star she becomes?
Well,
No.
anyway, we're blaming it on Blair.
Yeah. So the Mindy Cohen goes out of her way not to name names, but on her Instagram, she said, the answer is on my Instagram if you know how to find it, essentially. And then a couple of internet sleuths figured out that at some point throughout the year, she wished every single other one of the stars a happy birthday on her Instagram, but not Lisa.
Oh.
And
Okay.
they got on Zooms during COVID. They were going to reboot this. Norman Lear reached out to them after, live in front of a studio audience, The Facts of Life and Different Strokes, which Jennifer Aniston played Blair on that.
Oh,
And-
right.
And so that was a hit, and they wanted to do it. And she wanted, the unnamed person wanted more than what everybody else was getting, a separate deal for a spinoff just for herself.
What?
And then the whole thing fell
Why?
apart.
What happens to people like that? They think like that. I mean, they just fuck themselves over.
And it was very Blair of her, too, right? Like,
Yeah, I
kind of
guess
on
so.
brand for Blair.
Yeah, maybe people misinterpreted. She was method acting, and they were just like, "No, we think she's serious," but she can't break character even to explain what she's
She
doing.
was doing Jim Carrey as Andy Kaufman, like, in rehearsals.
Totally, yeah. It's
She
just
wouldn't drop character.
no, she
all
wouldn't.
these years later.
It's like her husband's just like, please, just tell them you.
I went to Beth Ringwald's Sweet 16 birthday party and got to sit next to Blair. Wow. And I was like in hog heaven. Like, I just couldn't believe it.
Wow,
I just couldn't.
what a trip!
Oh,
Especially
man.
back then, because celebrity was like different.
Oh, totally different. Better and different.
Yep, definitely better.
Yeah, it was crazy. I mean, I was such a loser. I was in, high school or whatever. No way Lisa Welchel was going to be. But I think I could get her now. That's my move. I've been biding my time.
Her husband is a pastor at a church in Van Nuys, so yeah.
That's Van Nuys.
Yeah,
Come on. We're not
not-
talking Encino or Sherman Oaks. We're talking Van Nuys, Pastor.
Well, you know what they say? It's Van Nuys.
Van Nuys.
Van Nuys.
She's very... She's super religious now.
Yes.
I think, too.
Oh, that's probably the problem.
There's
Jesus.
something going on. First off, what is she holding out for? There's no paydays. She does those like Nick at Night shows where they go to people's houses and look at their collection of trains or Batman memorabilia or some shit. She's not hammering any checks. Something's up. She should be in on this.
Yeah, and she was in on it. I guess she was in on it wanting more. She's like, you can't do it without me.
Why don't they just get someone else?
Yeah. I mean, Jennifer Aniston did the live one. Slide Jen Aniston in
let's
there.
do that.
All right.
Let's do that.
Let's do another one.
There's a spicy dispute over the origins of Flamin Hot Cheetos, and it has turned into a court case. A former PepsiCo executive is suing the company, saying it destroyed his career after questioning his claim that he invented the popular flavor of Cheetos snacks. According to his lawsuit, Richard Montañez began working for PepsiCo as a janitor at its Frito-Lay plant in Rancho Cucamonga. And he was the son of a Mexican immigrant and grew up in a migrant labor camp. One day, a machine at the plant broke down, leaving a bunch of unflavored Cheetos. He took a batch home, dusted them with chili powder, trying to replicate the flavor of elote, the popular grilled seasoned corn served in Mexico. And he claims, and at the time, PepsiCo agreed with him, that was the invention of spicy hot Cheetos. He turned that into a career as a motivational speaker, and now they have changed their mind on his claim. And they are saying other people also developed it. And he's saying it is ruining his motivational speaker career.
Speaking of food, tell me if this is fortuitous or an eerie harbinger, how you would perceive this. Brad Williams, comedian, spoke to him about a week or so ago, said, well, I wanted to talk about a few things. He said, why don't we get together? I said, good. He said, how about Mastro's Steakhouse in Malibu? I said, sounds awesome. You pick the day and the time. Throws out a few dates. I say, yeah, let's try it for Thursday. Says, yeah, okay, let's do it. I said, we're on, 8 o'clock. Says, good. Then 2 days later, I get a colonoscopy scheduled for that same day. Now, many have said, well, perhaps you want to cancel with Brad. And I say, au contraire. I will have not eaten for 48 hours by the time that steak slides in front of me. There's potential for disaster, don't get me wrong. But I'm like, there's no way I'm canceling Mastro's Steakhouse with Brad, because that's my prom. That's my coming out ball. That's my quinceañeras of eating. It'll have been 2 days since I've sat down to something decent, and I'm doing it up right. Is the timing? You think that's good timing, the best timing, or is it potential disaster? Like I start getting into the lobster, mashed potatoes, and 3 scoops in, I'm running for the bathroom. Like, where are we at?
I mean, I think if you kept it simple, if you did like broccoli, and a steak, You know, maybe some sauces, but don't overdo it. I think it's probably because we want to avoid. I'm a doctor. What you want to avoid is like throwing in like fucking up your system where you're like, oh, it's running on empty, it's running on ethanol, and it's just like fumes. And then now you're going to put in like some heavy stuff. It's like it might be a little bit of a shock to your system where it's like, I don't know what to do with this, you know. So I think like a steak, smaller bites, like really enjoy it.
What if I have Brad chew it and spit it into my mouth?
like pre-chew Charlie's?
Well, kind of like a baby bird, but the opposite.
Oh,
The baby feeding the mom?
Yeah, like I think that the folks at Mastro's are probably get a kick out of that
They
visually.
give you just ask for a private room. or like one of those privacy screens.
Oh, yeah, put up the screen.
The waitress
Yeah.
would come and
But
say,
then,
Adam.
What's up with Adam Carolla?
well, he's getting a blowjob from Brad Williams, evidently. If he just put the screen up.
Brad Williams is known for his blowjobs.
All right, so listen, he wrote me a text saying, heard you were getting a colonoscopy. Are we still on? And I said 100%.
Well, I think you just go for it.
I'm going
just see
for
what
it.
happens.
I'm going to see what happens.
See what happens.
Don't
Listen.
get the Flamin' Hot Cheetos crusted.
Yeah, nothing
steak.
spicy. Don't go spicy.
It's
How about
right
that?
on the ocean. So
Yeah.
the worst thing that could happen is I'd have to run out into like waist deep water and just fucking let it fly.
Oh,
Like, you
how
know,
perfect would it be if you were adding to the raw sewage along the PCA?
Along the PCA.
The PCA.
The PCA.
Oh, my God.
All right, let's do one more if you have it.
A priest is suing Grindr after he was outed, his lawsuit says. Monsignor Jeffrey Burrell said in the lawsuit that Grindr released his data, leading him to lose his job and suffer significant damage to his reputation.
I don't know. I mean, do we assume that most priests are gay, or how do we even do this? And then the problem with gay is that gay is fine, but there's enough pedophile talk to build a bridge to gay that it fucks us up. Do you know what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah.
So, like, sodomy is not nailed in the ass. By definition, it can be oral, I think. But when you hear sodomy, you just go
Yeah,
right.
that's true.
Right. Right to the colonoscopy, right?
Yes.
You go right there, you know? And so the problem with the gay priest is, consenting adults, no problemo, but there's so much pedophile talk that you hear gay priest and then our next move is to the pedophile talk, right?
Absolutely.
So that's where the reputation part kicks in.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, I think it's like any time you like deprive someone of, or, even if you're doing it yourself, or it's like a system that deprives people of like regular sexual contact. I think it's a recipe. It's not. I'm sure some people like handle it great. Maybe some people are kind of like asexual. Maybe they've got like low libidos, and so it's fine for them. They figure it out. But man, I tell you, when you're deprived of that for a long time, it doesn't even have to be like, it doesn't have to be necessarily even anything to do with gay or anything
like
on the
jail,
spectrum.
Yeah,
it's like jail. It's like not necessarily like those guys
not gay, we're in jail.
are gay. I think some of them might be, but that's not the point. It's just that they've been deprived and they want to get their release, and so I think that it's going to manifest unhealthfully for some people. I mean, like they're going to be like, well, what do we got? Well, we got all these like kids coming in, I don't know. That's a tough one, man.
And then I think like
real tough.
Back in the day when being gay was much more looked down upon, it was like, oh, if once you realize your son was gay, you're like, send him to the priesthood. So we were like shoving gays into the priesthood as opposed to now where it's like, you're kind of choosing to be a priest.
God, that
Sounds very unattractive. Like jobs, meter maid, priest, whoever put the camera up my ass this morning. Like these are all jobs where I'm like, I don't. Why?
I've always
You know
said
what I mean?
that
Like-
about meter maids. Like if you chose it,
Oh, wow.
Like you're ruining people's days for a living. You know what I mean? Like everyone you touch is met with, oh, come on.
Yep.
You know what
Unless
I mean?
you let them off.
Yeah, but
Then
I
you're not doing
already
your job.
started writing it.
there we start. You know what? You can just write void, by the way, in that thing. They go, I already
Yeah.
started writing. I always drives me nuts.
Sometimes I will say that sometimes when I park and I know that I play this game called Ticket or Toe, and I'm like, if it's a ticket, that's fine. If it's towing, then that's I'm not into. But there've been many times where like parking person's up there, and I'm like, well, I took the risk, so that's it.
Well, there is a version of this if you have a good income, got the Porsche with the center locks in it, shopping at Irwan, the whole 9 yards.
Yeah.
And what I'm saying is like, parking is $20 when you pull into Hollywood or whatever to see a show or whatever. All right. A parking ticket is $53. Sometimes you just go, I'm going to pay $53 for parking, when I may get it for free.
Yes.
But essentially, it's a $53 parking ticket. And if you make a lot of money and you're willing to pay $20 for parking anyway, it's really not that big a stretch. But the towing adds a separate dimension.
Yeah, I'm not into that. That's like the most dreadful experience when you're like, oh, my car is not here. I hope it was towed.
Yes.
Yeah.
And they never really tell you where it was or is.
No, they do it on purpose, I think, to just make it as unpleasant as possible.
You've got your car towed before?
I haven't gotten any of my newer cars towed. I haven't been towed since I lived in Seattle, which would have been in the 90s.
You get your cars towed more when you're poor.
Yeah.
Which is
isn't that
brutal.
great?
It's great because it's
so
devastating.
Cool. It's so cool.
But the great thing about being poor when you get your car towed is they tow your car, and then the tow lot, the impound lots, like you owe us $571, and you're like, car's worth about $6.
Yeah,
like,
I know.
And you start weighing your options.
Yeah, could I get all my stuff out?
I got a Thomas guide in there. It's worth $9. And I got flip flops. So what are we up to? $12 now. Like I start doing a real math. Like when you start thinking I may just walk away, that means you're fucking poor and you're driving a piece of shit.
Yeah, it's totally true. I mean,
I may be one of the few Americans who's had 3 motorcycles towed.
Motorcycles?
3.
Wow.
I mean, I've had cars and trucks towed, but I've had 3 motorcycles.
You have more
towed.
motorcycles towed than you've read books.
That's true.
It's an amazing, amazing human fact.
Who else do you know who's written more books than they've read and had more motorcycles towed than books they've read? Because I am that hombre.
That's a tough one, unless you're trying for the record.
At the time, I was not vying for the record.
No.
Earl.
Okay.
Just very sad, poor
Wow.
guy.
I've never seen a
happenstance.
motorcycle towed. I imagine they're pretty easy to tow.
They just lift them up in the air and kind of drag them around like dingleberries, like truck nuts. Yeah, sad. And then the other part that's really confounding about getting your motorcycle towed is one time I got it towed because I didn't have a motorcycle license. I just had a driver's license. Then I would go, so you're towing the motorcycle because I don't have a Class B license or whatever the motorcycle license was. And they'd go, yes, because it's dangerous that you're riding a motorcycle with no motorcycle license. And then I would go, how do I get the motorcycle out? And they'd go, you have to go to the DMV. You have to take the motorcycle test, and then you can get the motorcycle out of impound. And then I would go, how am I going to take the motorcycle test with no motorcycle? And they'd go, oh, it's just a written test. And I'm like, and it's a temporary. And I'm like, does that make it safer, really? Because this just sounds like a money-making scam to me.
Definitely money-making.
I'm going to have to get one of my friends to drive me to the DMV in Van Nuys. I'm going to take a written test. I will pass that. They'll give me a temp certificate. I'll go to the tow yard. I'll pay the tow yard. I'll get on the motorcycle, possessing no more riding skills than I did 48 hours ago when you towed it out from under me. Then I'll get on the motorcycle. I'll go back to the DMV and I'll go around the cones on the motorcycle, and then I'll get my official motorcycle driver's license.
Crazy bureaucracy.
Yeah, and I'm making $9 an hour.
Reggie would have ended up paddled after that conversation. They'd have been paddling Reggie.
For sure. I would have said, they would have said do you want the paddle or do you want the fine? I'd be like, I'll take the paddle. It's fine.
Oh, I would have definitely taken the paddle over that.
Of course.
Any day of the week.
Jeez.
Yeah, they used to do that. Traffic school used to be that way. They go, you want to pay the fine or you want to spend 9 hours in receipt on a Sunday in this? this air-conditioned trailer doing traffic school, and I would take traffic school every time because what was my time worth? Like I made $8 an hour. I didn't care.
Yeah.
But I didn't want to cut a check for $120. By the way, they've since combined, so now you have to pay.
Oh, and do it?
And pay for traffic school.
Jeez, man.
Yeah. All right. Let me give you a plug here.
All right,
Reggie. Nevermind's the name of the stand-up special. It is available as we speak on Veeps, the app. And should I give your Instagram and website out?
Yeah.
At Reggie Watts and also Veeps.com/Reggie Watts. Yeah?
Yeah.
Got that good?
Yeah.